Five-star tight end from Las Vegas, Darnell Washington, commits to Georgia. Matt DeBary, Dean Legge here to talk about this breaking news. Not unforeseen. You've talked about this for some time, Matt, since the summer, but now Georgia's going to get him.
Yeah, Georgia targeted this guy for a long, long time. He was one of the top targets on their board from the beginning. Since his visit in July, the big barbecue weekend where Georgia hosted some of their top targets from across the country, ever since then I felt like Georgia was going to be the team to beat moving forward. Took his official visit to Georgia for the Notre Dame game, was there with Carson Beck, a lot of guys, was back in town for the Texas A&M game, and then Georgia wrapped it up with their in-home visit with him on December 9th. But you know, for a guy who lives on the West Coast, he made a ton of visits to Georgia this year, and he was a guy they wanted badly. They went out and they got him, and this is a huge get for Todd Hartley. I mean, this guy can make an immediate impact. There's no other guy like him in the tight end room. He can do it all, 6'7", 250. Can go up and snag the ball. I mean, he's very athletic, and there's a reason he's a five-star prospect.
It opens up the middle of the field for the Georgia offense, and it's just something that, again, like we just talked about. I mean, you saw this coming for a while. The leading indicators have been this way for some time, but for Georgia now to get a playmaking tight end that they've not had for a while.
Yeah. Again, he's got the basketball background, knows how to box guys out, go up and get the jump ball and snag it away. So he's so good after the catch as well and tough to bring down, but he's an absolute weapon in the end zone and in the red zone in particular. But huge get for him. I went down and saw him play in early September.
What did you make of his? I mean, tell the folks listening and watching what are we talking about in terms of raw athleticism?
He's got the raw athleticism. I mean, dude's a freak, basketball player, like I mentioned earlier, but he played multiple positions for his Desert Pines team, and he wasn't going up against great competition at all, so the team dominated every play, and so did he. But between, catching passes like he's going to do at Georgia, blocking, he was their punter and boomed a 50-yarder, played some defensive end, made the biggest hit of the day, and I think made an interception, on a tip pass later in the game. So he really did it all for them, and he's a guy who he's a weapon. He still needs to, perfect the route running and, perfect his craft overall to be a true tight end, but the raw athleticism is there, and he's going to be put in a position where he's going to play early in Athens. There's no tight end who's more athletic and has the impact that he could make in the room right now.
Well, one thing, though, at Georgia that you've got to do as a pass receiver is you've got to go out and block, and that goes without saying for a tight end typically, but even the receivers at Georgia, that's one of the most important things for them. Where is this guy on that side of the ball in terms of blocking and being physical and so forth? I mean, if you see him at a high school game, it's pretty obvious who is the biggest dude out there, and it's him. But how will he compete at that thing in college?
Well, he's tough. I have put some videos on Dog Post of him blocking in the game and making some hits on defense as well. So he's a big physical dude, and the running backs had a big day. A lot of that was due to his blocking on the edge, and again, the competition wasn't great, so he was out there just kind of manhandling these kids. So I assume he does it every play. He did it every play in the game I went to go see him at. And again, when I go see kids, if they're being heavily pursued by Georgia, I've got high expectations.
Right.
And you see this kid, he's a top 10 prospect in the country. I was expecting a lot, and he really did exceed those expectations. I was very, very impressed. Not only by his size, I mean, he's a freak, but he really did it on the field as well.
And so now for Georgia, they combine Darnell with the four other pass receivers so far in this class. What are they kind of getting towards in this to put on the field in 2020 and beyond with these guys?
Athleticism and big playability. Speed. Arian Smith is obviously the track star guy, but Jermaine Burton can fly as well. And again, Darnell Washington, for a guy 6'7", 250, he picks up a lot of yards in a hurry, man. He gallops down the field.
That's the other thing, 6'7".
Yeah.
That's a tall tight end.
He says he's 6'8". Others have reported 6'8". I'm going to go with a solid 6'7". He looks like a small forward in the NBA right now.
Yeah, he jumps out at you when you see the film. You've seen him live. We flew you out there to go to Vegas, and it does one last thing here on him. When you look at Georgia now getting kids from California, Nevada, Texas, Louisiana, spreading it out pretty good. For Darnell, I mean, in Vegas, there are no real loyalties. I mean, it's a state that doesn't have a legit Division I school, or not really. And you got schools like Bishop Gorman out there and so forth. Why do you think he was attracted to Georgia at the end of the day?
Well, a lot of it was Todd Hartley. He saw what he did at Miami, and he had known him from them. So he's had a relationship with Todd Hartley for a while. And then just the family feel he got in Athens, you know, he made multiple visits, so the interest was there early on. And the more and more you get him on campus, he becomes familiar with everyone. He's become good friends with Carson Beck. If you're on DogQuest, you saw the pictures we put of those two guys having fun, and they keep up with each other all the time. So he's familiar with other commitments. He's familiar with the coaching staff, obviously, and he's obviously familiar with Athens after multiple visits this past year.
Darnell Washington on his way to Georgia, another 5-star kid for Georgia and Kirby Smart.